Hey, it's Alvi from Luminescence Empowerment Through Ascension and Twinflame Magic. I have just changed the name. It used to be Luminescence Heart-Centered Healing, but I feel like the new year I need a new look and a new name that sort of is more coherent and points at a more integrated experience, I guess. So I'm here doing the twin flame reading. That is soul connection. I will use soul connection throughout the reading because I like to cover everybody, not just the twin flames, but the people who've had spiritual catalyst experiences, soulmates, and it also covers all the different perceptions of these labels. So, you know, we all know when we've had a deep soul connection, because it feels different. It's like something from another dimension trying to fit itself into this, you know, 3D world that we live in. So I'm going to go straight to the cards. Here we go. This is the basis of the situation. I might just pull out some other cards and see what we get. Giving and receiving. So I'm doing for this side. This side is for the people who are watching. I try not to use divine masculine, divine feminine, because I believe by separating them into two different people, we are sort of buying into separation consciousness, which is what we don't want. We actually want to be in unity consciousness, and part of the whole spiritual path of the twin flame and conscious relationship, soul connection, path, experience, that's probably the word I'm looking for. That experience is understanding that both those things exist within you, and that you need to balance it and come into union and unity consciousness within yourself before anything else on the outside can do that with you or can come to you in that same sort of unity consciousness or union. So, okay. So I'm doing the side for you guys who are watching. I'm still trying to work out, you know, like what should I call you? The chasers? That sounds really bad too. It's horrible. You know, so the people who are watching, basically. And then I'm going to do the other side for the absent partners, the ones who aren't watching, the ones we want to know about what they're doing and we can't find out. Or, you know, they're being a bit withdrawn and difficult to get along with. Okay, and then I'm just going to reshuffle what is the outcome for this week. Did that come out? Oh, I'm just going to reshuffle that. I don't know if I flipped it or not. It's terrible. So an outcome for this week's reading, which is, I'm not flipping it over. Okay, win or lose, great. Okay, so the first message is the underlying energy of the reading. Take the lead. This is for both people. This is the guidance for both people, and this is kind of what brought us to the situation. It's the basis of the situation. It's not the underlying energy. Let's see what the underlying energy is first. Oh, well-deserved reward. That's the card underneath. That's the energy that, you know, that's bringing us to the situation that we're finding ourselves in this week. So, well-deserved reward sounds pretty good to me. I hope that everybody gets their well-deserved rewards this week. So, basis of the situation. Take the lead. So, if you've both been doing your work, that's great. It means that you're both being proactive in balancing the relationship, in balancing the connection, and, you know, taking the lead in your own life with healing and raising your vibration and understanding the energetics of the connection. So what we will do is as I said, for the people who are watching, we'll do that side first. So, taking the lead, this is challenges. Giving and receiving is unbalanced at the moment. there's too much going on again, and you know, this time of year, what can you really expect? But to be everything to be a little bit crazy. So, perhaps you found that things started going well, and then all of a sudden they sort of stopped again. We need to be aware with these connections that whatever's going on, you may not understand, and they might not understand. Superficially, but in the energy of the connection, if you overgive, if you overstep, it sets it all out of balance. So we need to balance our giving and receiving again. This came up in the last reading I did. I think I said something about it's like breathing, about giving and receiving. You have to be open to being able to be to receive, and you have to be able to give without giving so much that you can't, that you haven't got anything left for yourself or other people. We tend to take these relationships and connections so intensely seriously that we forget that there's the rest of the world around. Sometimes you've got to get out and just, stop obsessing for a little while. I know that it's really hard, especially if you can feel them, if you've got that empathy thing going on and you can feel their emotions and you're worried about them and all of that stuff. That's part of the giving and receiving imbalance. Part of this journey is to bring you back into yourself. You do start off with that empathy, that empathic. It's like a training. Stage 1, I call it, is you can feel them. You can feel them in your heart. You can feel their emotions. You start having all of your psychic abilities and stuff come up a lot more strongly. And that stage 1, where you're just focusing on the one person, that is kind of like it's like so you can learn the new language of soul connections without actually being bombarded by everybody else's energy, because you get to a point where you can connect to all of your soul family like that, and it can be pretty intense. So if you have that training first with this one person that you love, your twin or your spiritual catalyst or whatever, then it's easier for you when it comes time to sort of start spreading those gifts around and letting people know that. I mean, not letting people know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had like 2 hours sleep today, whatever. See, I don't even know if it's day or night. Yeah, so giving and receiving has been imbalanced, and the next card, the next message is balance. Now this is the twin card, so we're definitely looking at a spiritually based relationship here. There is no doubt when a card like that looks like that comes up, that isn't a twin experience or a soul connection or a past life connection, a soulmate. Now we have the giving and receiving, which is reversed in the challenge, and then we have balance coming up after that one. So that's the challenges. That's sort of like what you're expecting, what you're wanting, what you're feeling from this connection is that you want balance. So that's where you got to work towards, is to turn that balance around, flip the energy back, and make it about you, make it about your life, instead of making it all about them. I wrote a blog post on my website, which I'll leave a link for below, that you can read about how self-love, deep self-love, helps you weather the storms, and that it's not just going out and getting your hair and your nails done. It's not superficial. Like that stuff's all good, don't get me wrong. I love doing that too, but self-love is self-acceptance, and it's integrating your shadow, and it's understanding that you have flaws and that nobody's perfect and no relationships are perfect, no matter how much you would like to idealize a twin flame relationship or soul connection. There's always going to be issues, because we're people, we're humans, and that's what we're here to learn, as to how to be humans and get through it without getting too dragged down into it. So so bring that self-love back to you. Okay, bring that balance back to you. Stop overgiving if you're overgiving, and if you're withdrawing, maybe you need to set boundaries for how much you can give to this relationship, and balance it out with the rest of your life and your friends and all of that sort of stuff. Don't withdraw and hide away and think that you can't have a life anymore because you had a soul connection. It's not true. It's bullshit. I am so tired of hearing people thinking this, and it's sad. It's not, that is not what a twin flame or a soul connection experience is for. It's not to trap you. It's to expand you. So don't let it trap you into thinking that you need to stay. You need to find the balance in it. So we have to find the balance. And let me see. These two cards here are sort of guidance cards, action step cards is what I like to call them. They can give you a little bit of a pathway to, in how to get to your outcome, to your union, or just to the end of the week if you feel like that. Sometimes you do. We have heal, but it's reversed. So when this card's up the right way, it's all about how there's a big healing energy around you. I think that because it's reversed, you don't feel like you're supported by the universe to heal. You feel you're blocking it off with these idealistic, silly expectations. And I know that sounds mean, but we have to be realistic. We're people, and as what we might find, we might be able to communicate with our twins in 5D. The person that you communicate with in 5D is not the same person as the human person that you're dealing with in this connection. And when you expect them to be, this perfect person and put them up on a pedestal, it just creates too much tension. I wouldn't like that, And, I've been guilty of doing this too. And it's part of the learning process, is to learn that you are just as divine as they are. You are just as perfect as they are, as you think they are. And that you have flaws and they have flaws, and but being in alignment doesn't mean being perfect, and it doesn't mean that there's not going to be issues. It means that you're emotionally and spiritually grown enough that you can deal with them without it turning into a war. I know, yeah, it's weird, but anyway, so you're blocking off this healing. You're blocking off the healing energy that you could be accessing to to up level, to move forward, to ascend, to grow, to understand this stuff, by holding this expectation of this relationship of perfect balance. Now, there's nothing wrong with having goals and and that sort of thing, but when you take it too far, it's really hard for anyone to live up to. The idealistic kind of side of the twin flame fairy tale story is what I call it, because when you walk the twin flame path as a spiritual path, you start to understand that a lot of that stuff was written by people who were still in this very romantic stage, and there's much more to it than that. And by holding on to those beliefs, you're really just doing yourself you're not serving yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice by holding on to those beliefs. So you need to get a bit real about it. Get real and remember that they're human too, okay? So holding too much of an expectation of them being your twin without, especially if they haven't acknowledged the connection, if they haven't acknowledged the relationship, or if they've turned runner, or if they've withdrawn, then you need to remember that all of the stuff that you read, it isn't always true. Just because it's on the internet doesn't make it real. Anyone can write anything and post it on the internet. So, have a bit of realistic expectation of where it's going, and don't idealize it. idealizing it will cause you issues. The next message is just breathe. So just breathe is all about finding faith in yourself, reconnecting with source, and your connection with a higher consciousness, with the guidance of the universe, with the support of the universe. That is really important, and that is part, that's a big part of the journey as well, is understanding that a lot of this stuff you have to go through yourself. A spiritual awakening and a spiritual journey is a personal one. You can't drag someone through it if they don't want to come through with you. So it's all about you, okay? Until you get to the very end of it, and you are an integrated and sovereign being with an understanding that everything is union, really. The interconnectedness of everything is union. It's not just two people. It's about everything, and seeing it in everything. And until you get to that point, your connection with higher self, intuition, and the universe is probably one of the most important things that you can work on and develop, because that way you won't get led astray by, by all of the different information that you can find on twin flames and soul connections and these very deep and different relationships. So that's the outcome card. I think I'll leave that one there for now, and I will go to the runner, absent partner, the one we want to know what's going on with them if they're not around and they're not talking. So we started off with take the lead. So they've kind of, they've raised their game, they've lifted their game a bit, and they've tried to sort of direct things. But let's see, the next card is in the challenge position is choose your battles. Okay, so they are kind of, they're lifting their game up, and they're understanding that not everything needs to be a fight. Sometimes you just have to let things go. It's kind of their challenge, though. It's to understand that it doesn't need to be. You have to choose the right battles, because if you fight every battle, you just run out of energy and you'll be defeated. So choose your battles and flow. So this is sort of part of the challenge as well. Finding flow by not fighting their battles, not fighting every battle. Sorry. So let's have a look. The darkest fears. This was in the reversed reading, the last one I did too, in a reversed position. So these are the action step kind of cards for the the runners, the absent partners, the ones who are withdrawn or only connecting in 5D. So when you have the darkest fears come up and it's reversed, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to feel into this energy. So by choosing their battles instead of fighting all of the battles and everything that comes up, like warriors do, by choosing their battles, they'll find the flow, and flow is really important. Flow is a river, and that is what love is like. You can't control it too much. You can't hold it back. You can't make it go the way you want it to go. It'll just go. And when you do, if you try to hold on to something that's not meant to hold on to, that's meant to flow and not be restricted, it'll either just disappear out of your hands, or it will become stagnant and horrible, and nobody wants that either. So I'm just still thinking about it. I've had about 2 hours sleep, so I'm a bit kind of at the moment. So choosing your battles, flow, and The darkest fears reversed. That's one. That's the one that's kind of. I'm trying to feel into this one. Darkest fears reversed. So, when you do, when the darkest fears is up the right way, is kind of showing you like the things that are coming up for you are the things that you need to confront, and resolve and heal. But because it's reversed, they're still there, but they're kind of denying them, I guess. A little bit in denial about the darkest fears, or maybe they're kind of internalizing them rather than expressing them and resolving them. A lot of people do that. I used to do it until I learned not to, and I still probably do a little bit. When pain shows its face, you run, right? And you hide it away, and you go into denial about it, and you think, by ignoring the darkest fears and pushing them away, that you're sort of avoiding them, but what you're actually doing is just putting them somewhere where they're going to cause you trouble later on, either by giving an energy block or coming back up and causing you all sorts of traumas and triggers and all of that sort of stuff. So that's what's happening here. As the action steps, they need to throat chakra. Oh, right. Okay, throat chakra. Sorry. Falling asleep in front of the camera. So the challenge is to choose their battles, which will create flow within their energy. And these two cards here, which I have Darkest Fears Reversed and Throat Chakra, this is about expressing their darkest fears instead of internalizing them. That is what they need to do. Like, they might be finding themselves in a situation where, they want to talk to you, but they're actually really scared about what kind of reaction they're going to get. Because it feels so deep, these things, conscious relationships and soul connections. They feel so much deeper and so much more intense than, I don't know, puppy love or whatever. I can't even really remember what it's like to have a normal relationship, to be quite honest. I've had too many soul connections in the last couple of years. That's the only kind of connection I remember now, really. So choosing their battles for flow. So the flowing energy is kind of bringing these darkest fears up, and rather than internalize them because the card is upside down, they need to express them. You might find that they actually do come forward and express these fears to you, or they might have some communication that they need to make with you, but they're actually a little bit afraid of it. But the throat chakra card in this position and up the right way is kind of saying to me that they will actually express this. They'll find the courage to express themselves to us somehow. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. And the outcome card is win or lose. Now this one, it's like, don't make love a battlefield, and then people will be able to, they'll feel comfortable coming to you and expressing themselves to you and telling you their darkest fears. If you make everything a competition, if you always have to be right and they always have to be wrong just for you to be able to keep balance in your relationship, that's never going to work. You can see the sword here is buried in the ground, and it's like, bury the hatchet. Don't make it into a fight. Bury the hatchet. Let it go. People make mistakes. It's just like what I was talking about before with idealizing it. Just because you think someone's your twin flame, just because you call them your twin flame, it doesn't mean that they're going to conform to your idea of what a twin flame should be or a soul connection should be, especially if they don't know that you think that you're their twin flame. They're just going along living their lives, and if you can bury the hatchet and find the higher perspective of things and understand that the way that people react and behave is usually about what's going on within them. It's got really nothing much to do with anyone else. You'll find that people are much more, much more forthcoming and much more able to express themselves to you and tell you their darkest fears and their worries without feeling like there's going to be some kind of reprisal or attack or fight or something like that. So this is our outcome, because when you breathe and when you're connected, remember this card, just breathe. When you can take some deep breaths, and when you're connected to the higher consciousness and you are connected to the universe and you're in balance within yourself, you don't take things as personally. And that is what we want to aim for here. A conscious relationship means that you are conscious of how you have the relationship. It's how you react to the things that happen in the relationship. So take the lead and lift your perspective and lift your ideas and expand your mind and stop overgiving or undergiving. Get that balance back, and connect with your higher self and stop blocking your healing, because when you block your healing, then you're blocking their healing as well. When you heal and resolve something within yourself, you heal and resolve it for the whole collective, but very often it has a big effect on your soul family and anyone who's in this connection, a twin flame, a soulmate, a spiritual catalyst even. We're all sort of, connected by this soul family thing. And when you resolve and heal these things within you, then you raise the level for everyone else. So that's what this taking the lead card is saying to me now. So if you get communications from your absent twin or connection or lover or whatever, be aware that it might be really hard for them to communicate with you, and they might be worried about what kind of reaction they're going to get. So try, keep that higher consciousness, keep that understanding that whatever's going on with them, and if they come to you and they trust you enough to talk to you about it, don't throw it back in their faces. That's the worst thing you could possibly do, and it will send your connection way back. It will cause separation if you don't have it. So, yeah, I think I've ranted enough. I kind of got overtaken there. I just want to, I think I might pull a fairy card, because I love my fairy cards, just to clarify the end of this, and then we will say bye, because this is a pretty long video. I'm trying to see how long I've gone for. 28 minutes, wow. I have a lot to say today. That's me, Jabberjaws.